Hello， 大家好，我是立恩。今天我要跟大家介绍Charlie Kirk。好，这一次不是校园辩论了，这一次呢是 Charlie Kirk 啊，他上了 Whatever Podcast 的节目呢，跟一群这个女性的朋友呢一起来聊聊什么是女人这个话题。我之前呢有做过一个 short 的短影片，有兴趣的大家可以去看哈。那这个影片当中呢 ，Charlie Kirk 在校园里面问了一群女大学生什么是女人的时候你会发现现在美国大学生是根本答不上来，他们的回答基本上会让你觉得现在大学生已经对女性是没有办法去定义清楚的了。不过呢，这一期的节目 Whatever 邀请的这一些女生呢，虽然说也都蛮年轻的，很多都是属于 e-girl 就是在 TikTok 啦或是 Instagram 上面比较热门的一些 UP 主但是呢，虽然说是网红居多，不过他们是相对比较成熟，而且是理性的去探讨女性或者说女人是什么这个观念。那我觉得这一期影片非常的有意义，而且也非常的有深度，所以呢，我这一次呢就不啰嗦先让大家好好的呢一次看完，那后面我们再来解说吧。让我们一起来好好的跟一群女人们聊聊，到底她们觉得女人是什么吗 ？Let's go。
What is a woman?
That's a good question.
Biologically?
Yeah, we'll start
tell
with
me.
you. Go ahead.
Uterus.
The uterus, cool.
Uterus, hormones.
Are there other definitions of women that we should accept?
This is an important. This is
actually not a silly question. This is
dating
super
related.
important. It ties with the other one.
It ties in with feminism too.
Yeah.
Sure. That's the ground. That's the fundamental
Question.
importance.
Fundamental.
Yeah.
Important.
How about this way? Anybody can chime in. Can someone that doesn't have a uterus that has
Wait, should we just go around and
Yeah, sure. Go.
What is a woman?
A woman is someone with a uterus. However, a uterus doesn't always define a woman because, for example, you can have your uterus surgically removed. You're not any less of a woman because of that.
Should we have them all answer?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And then if you want to respond, go ahead.
Yeah, I believe that a woman has a uterus,
So that would make me not a woman, in essence.
Here, let's let the girls answer. Go ahead.
No.
You're asking if gender and sex are synonyms, and that's the big debate. If you think the word woman is a synonym for the word female, then you would say a woman has primary and secondary sexual characteristics. If you're saying the words woman and female are not synonyms, then you could include like trans people who call themselves women but don't have the first or primary or secondary characteristics. So that's the debate, right?
anyone with a uterus.
Or had it.
I mean, biologically, it's someone that has XX chromosomes.
Yes, someone with a uterus.
XX chromosomes.
I mean, yeah, I think there's men and women. There's not really anything in between. I think you need to be born with uterus, vagina, boobs.
Yes.
Everything.
Well, intersex is more common than red hair or green eyes.
It's not true, but that's okay. It's a
Is
good
it about
talking
1%,
point.
right?
It's not true. No,
It's
not
not?
even close. But it's a good talking point.
Yeah.
What is it then? Because it's not
like,
zero.
It's like 0.001%. But it
they
is more. It totally exists. Yes. No, I only pick on you for that because.
If I'm wrong about the, but they do exist. So we do have people that
100%,
are
yes.
that are not male, sort of, not female, sort of.
But it's a deformity, right?
Right,
So
but they're not choosing to be trying to become a
Of
female.
course,
Yeah.
no,
Trying
I'm
to
not talking
become a
about
male.
something
So
else.
for example, if I was born without a leg, that's absent of being two-legged. It doesn't create a new category of something, right? So,
Okay.
and it only intersex is XXY. So they're either more female or more male. They're usually more female, but sometimes they cannot have both sex organs, aka they cannot impregnate themselves. So it's
Hermaphrodite.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
yeah.
Let me ask it this way: does anyone believe that biological men can become a woman?
I think people can call themselves unicorns at this point in time if they want to. So if that's what they choose to say, that's what it is. But becoming a woman is a very, in short, no.
I'm not going to deny trans people as women.
Okay, so can I pause there? So if, as a woman, can womanhood then just be appropriated? Someone can then say, I am what you are.
No.
You said you're not going to deny trans women.
Yeah.
So Dylan Mulvaney, who's a biological man who thinks he's a preteen woman, is he a woman?
I feel like I'm just not in the position to tell him he's not a woman. If he says, if they say that they are a woman, I have no, you know what I mean? I'm not going to be like, are you a woman? Are you a man? That's nothing to do with me, honestly.
Got it. So if I'm 30, if I said I was 12, would you acknowledge that?
Yes, I would.
You would? Okay.
Yeah.
I would acknowledge it as dumb.
It's dumb. So why is it dumb for age? But I guess your answer previously.
Yeah. Mhm.
But why is it with sex or gender, we kind of get really cautious and saying, well, I'm not going to deny it. But if I said I was a wolf, you would laugh at me. If I said I was a giraffe, you'd laugh at me. But with sex and gender, we're like, oh, you could be whatever you want.
Because it's, I don't know, honestly, I've been looking at it from different perspectives ever since that issue kind of came up. Because I'm also, like I said, religious and also believe in the Bible. So it's like really conflicting, you know? But I feel like I heard this one thing on it where it was saying that it's almost like, again, I'm not saying this is my concrete belief, but I just heard this, which kind of made me think a little bit more about it. And they were saying how it's kind of like a mental illness. Like, you know how someone could be 30 and they could truly believe they're 12. Like, those people really exist. It's a mental illness.
Yes.
Those people exist. You don't deny them that they exist. You don't tell them, yeah, you're 30. Like, what are you doing with your life? Like, you acknowledge that it's a mental illness and you treat the person as such.
Great point. So if somebody, you're in healthcare, came to you with, and they said, I'm anorexic, so I think I'm fat. And they said, I want liposuction, which means the forcible removal of fat. Should you give them that surgery?
Of course not, because that would be compromising their actual health.
Hold on. But you just said that we have to affirm somebody's mental illness. They want liposuction. Why shouldn't they get it?
No, I didn't mean affirm their mental illness as in accept, oh, you are 12. I'm saying we shouldn't treat them as in, you shouldn't go up to them, to the 12, the 30.
The 30-year-old who thinks he's 12, which is a thing.
And you shouldn't, because like that's how people talk to trans people, right? They'll go up to them and be like, ha ha, you think you're a woman. Treat them with that disrespect and all that disdain. Whereas if you see the 30-year-old who's a 12-year-old, you don't go up to them telling them that they're 30. You accept that they have a mental illness.
Of course.
And you
so
know what I mean?
Let's apply it to the trans thing, the 30-year-old, 12-year-old, and the liposuction thing. Wouldn't it make more sense to treat the person and say, you're not what you think you are, rather than affirming the lie that they think they're something else? Because in the liposuction example, anorexia, you'd be like, no way would we give you forcible removal of fat if you're anorexic.
But they'll just go to the next doctor who will.
Will they? A doctor will not, under current medical procedure, give liposuction to anorexia
In America.
patient. Correct. But in trans care, a 14-year-old can get their breast removed if they think they're another sex, if they think it.
See, and that's where like it's really complicated, because it's like if it is a mental illness, and if that, I'm not saying I 100% concretely believe this, but if that's the case, then there should be a line of marker, because it's like you shouldn't let someone who wants to mutilate their genitalia before their brains even develop.
I totally agree.
Do that if it is a mental illness and it is something that's heavily messing up their brain. Because what if
you're onto something?
You know,
so the question is, when it comes to trans people, why don't we treat their brain instead of their body?
See, I feel like, yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. I can't really argue against it. I also, even though I accept trans people and I do believe that trans women exist, I'm not going to deny them of.
I don't know. You're closer.
But
you're
if
just
my
saying
daughter,
that as I think you're saying that as a talking point.
But listen, but if my daughter, who is 10 years old, tells me, Mom, like I want, or actually let's make this easier. If it's my son that tells me, because that way he has a genitalia that could be cut off, right? If he tells me, Mom, I'm not a boy, I'm actually a woman, mutilate my genitalia, I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
But you just said.
But if they turned 18 and they asked me, Mom, will you consent to me doing this? Like, will you disown me as a child, or are you going to accept me as your child who's a woman? I would accept them as my child.
No, you're being consistent, and at least you acknowledge the adult-child distinction, which is super important. Which right now, just so we're clear, in California, as a 14-year-old, you can get your breast chopped off, hysterectomies, like insane, irreversible damage.
I don't believe that should be the case.
It's great, and I think that's a bipartisan agreement. However, it gets back to the question of, and I don't even know if you believe it, but you're saying it, that you say trans people exist. Okay, they exist as human beings. The question is, are they objectively the thing they say they are?
I'm not one to answer that.
Fair enough. Does anybody have a comment on that?
They used to call it gender dysphoria, right?
Yeah, that's what it was in the DSM-3, DSM-4, and then the DSM-5, which is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual for Psychiatric Care in the United States. But no, you've been intellectually honest on that. And I think it's not a silly question because I'm here with a panel of women. What it means to be a woman is a very serious thing, and it's a beautiful thing, but it shouldn't be trivialized for somebody that can just appropriate it, wear a dress and some makeup, and all of a sudden they enter the club of womanhood.
It's sometimes frustrating what the most ardent ones think is womanhood, that it's just wearing pink and prancing around. Women are
But isn't
more
that an
than
insult to women?
It sometimes feels that way to me. Is like,
Do you
that's
think
what
it's
you
an
think a
insult?
woman is? Like, we fly planes and shoot guns. We do other stuff too.
Yes. But you're
and
complex,
of course the big one, motherhood.
complex beings made in the image of God.
Yeah, it's like some weird
Not just a costume. It's not like dressing for Cinco de Mayo or something,
It
right?
feels like they're wrapping themselves up in cosplaying womanhood in a sometimes weird way.
Yeah, you brought up Dylan Mulvaney, and in his first videos, like the day one of womanhood, was like, well, I cried 4 times and like went into credit card debt, and it's like, is that what you think this is?
Thanks
Yes,
a lot,
but
right?
they do because they think that again, I don't. Sorry if I'm interrupting, Brian, but I don't trivialize that some people that are trans are suffering. So the question is, how do you treat suffering people with the truth? So in a medical situation, if somebody comes in and you take their diagnosis, what they want, and you know that there's something better for them, then you should lose your license as a doctor. It doesn't matter what the patient wants. The doctor should be treating them towards, but the issue is that the new standard of care is no longer to try to bring somebody back into biological alignment of their birth. It's now to try to let them on whatever journey they might think they're on. And especially with youth, that's a dangerous trajectory.
I'm going to switch things up.
好，不知道大家刚看完有没有觉得哇，我们怎么频道难得有一次在讨论男女性别的这个题目的时候，这么的平和这么祥和因为过去大部分我们看到都是 Charlie Kirk 在跟校园里面的可能是跨性别者或者是比较偏觉醒文化学生，在针对男女性别的议题上比较激烈的辩论。不过呢，这次节目我觉得他好像也特别有心安排的是一般的女性大部分的观念跟想法上面都还是偏比较，我们讲就是有尝试了，反而呢，这是一个很好的可以去更深度交流，
功夫能够有更深一层的了解，
而不会只是在流于在辩论的攻防上。那当然，这一开始的时候，我觉得比较有趣、值得一提的是，那个穿红色衣服的小姐呢，她是表示说，不是说这个阴阳人intersex 或又说见性人，也就是指的男伴侣这样的人，她觉得这种人存在率认为至少有1%，事实上其实不然其实事实上这种所谓的 intersex 或阴阳人呢，它的原因是因为在精子减数分裂呢，它造成了染色体的突变。所以才会使得染色体一般我们都至少应该是2条也就是一对 XX 或 XY， 但是呢因为减数分裂突变才造成了所谓的 XXY 这样子的情况产生。那这个是属于基因突变的一种，半男半女的这种情况其实确实是存在。不过就像Charlie Kirk讲，事实上这种比率的人，其实他占总人口比例是连0.1% 都不到。所以我们要晓得一件事情，就是在动物界并不是那么容易出现错误的情况，或者是所谓的畸形。当然你说那还是有很多种其他的畸形我同意。可是你如果真正看正常胎儿的一个比率来讲的话，它其实仍然都是属于极微小的少数的，不能把一个比例视作是叫做一个正常或是常态。我想呢，如果大家有兴趣的话，可以去看我科学与圣经创造的影片当中，我谈过一期，就是为什么科学界始终没有办法证明演化论是对的，就是因为染色体它再怎么突变，它都无法的顺利的完成物种的过度演化。换句话说，物种永远它就是只在它自己同一种类，从来就没有所谓跨物种演化的事实。基因突变或染色体突变，它是有界限的，它永远不可能是从一种突变发展成另外一种新的物种。所以任何一点点小的突变，其实它多半导致的都是疾病，不然就是带来直接的死亡。
2022年，英国宣布关闭了国内唯一一家专业的青少年性别认定中心——性别认同发展服务部。该机构于1989年以来已经治疗了至少9000名有性别焦虑的儿童，年纪最小的仅3、4岁。该机构一直争议不断，有患者指控向16岁以下的未成年提供青春阻断药物和变性过渡激素是不合理的。其中有一位曾接受变性治疗的患者 Kara， 她曾是一名女性，但从小就喜欢穿男生的衣服。到了青春期时，对自身的性别产生了怀疑，因此患上了抑郁症。 15岁时通过看心理医生被转诊到该机构，被诊断患有性别焦虑症。16岁开始服用青春期阻断药物，1年后接受了睾丸激素注射。20岁时做了双侧乳房切除。完成这些治疗后，他看上去已经变成一位男性，但变性之后没过2年，他后悔了。但变性带来的永久性后果可能无法生育、失去乳房、声音永久性改变等等。这些年申请治疗的未成年患者数量急剧增加，2010到2011年度人数约为250人。2020到2021年度人数就增加到了5000多人。英国政府对于该机构的安全性和合理性感到怀疑，进行调查发现，有性别焦虑的儿童往往还有其他心理健康问题，但这都容易被性别认同问题所掩盖。而且关于青春期阻断药物影响的研究非常有限，让未成年服用有可能影响其大脑发育。
那我们在讲后面提到一点，就是说，当我们如果看到一个可能是有精神疾病的人，他自己认为他有肥胖问题，可事实上他是个厌食症患者的话，那么我们都会知道不应该帮他做抽脂的这个医疗手术。可是为什么我们当看到有人他自己觉得他应该要变性的时候，我们就会去奔着他的意思鼓励他去做他想做的呢？其实这个是一个很好的问题，因为实际上到底想要跨性别这一个部分，是不是属于一种 mental disease， 属于一种精神上的疾病？其实我不得不说，查理克提出来的这个论点是有医学上的根据的。好，但是我想要大家先撇开掉一个错误的观念，就是说，在讲 mental disease 或者说精神上疾病的时候，不是代表这是一种贬义词，或是说这是一种歧视，或是这是一种嘲笑，并不是，而是说我们该更认真的去思考的。当一个人如果他自己觉得他不属于这样的身体的时候，我们是不是该去研究他的原生家庭背景，他的心理问题，而不是立刻的只是顺着他的一个期望去到他的想要方式去做。如果你是站在从医学的角度去看这种所谓人类自身想要做跨性别者的比例数来讲话，确实坦白说，它比很多的精神疾病的比例都还要低。换句话说，我们还是可以回到原本的一个就是这个真的是自然的常态吗？好，那当然，如果一个人他已经做过了所有的考虑，那坦白说，他终究会找到他的方法，因为也是有医生还是会为了赚钱是可以做的。我们都知道说，这个最大宗的国家就是在泰国嘛，好，任何人都可以跑到泰国去花个几十万做变性手术。可是你会发现，除了泰国之外，为什么大部分的国家不能做？为什么大家都要跑去泰国花钱？只是因为在泰国做变性手术比较便宜嘛？啊，其实不光是这么简单，而是说各国政府其实在法律的限制上面，它要允许你的话，其实在一般的国家来讲的话，它的手续要复杂非常多，而泰国不用，好，所以它那边可以称得上是一个变性天堂。但很多的国家政府，他们在思考所谓跨性别手术的时候，都是采取非常非常保守，因为这终究它实际上在医学上来讲，它不是一个正常的一种所谓的可理该动的手术，特别你动这个手术是要拿掉你天性的器官。那最后还是希望回到一个观点，就是说女性自己自身的独特性是多面向的，女性绝对不是只是在于有没有女人味，有没有女性气质这么简单就可以被定义的。所以坦白说，真正的女权主义就应该要捍卫女性所有一切天性的价值，就如同一开始大部分的这些受访来宾都表示，他们认为一个女性除了在染色体 XX 之外，就是子宫的才能称得上是女性。这个我想确实没有什么比这再更简单更客观的，你说是吗？我们这边是超级神队友，我们下期再见，拜拜。Christ alone, our hope now forever.